What's up? Or is that too loud? I think that's good. Hello? Is there anyone in here? Oh, I should have some music here. Cool. So this is not bait, we are actually talking about clean architecture. It's not for the faint of heart. I'm gonna need a better background. Or is this fine for my YouTube video? I like the brown shade here. Okay, I guess I'm fixing this right now. Chizzy, how's it going? Thanks for showing up. I should have this open. What was it in? Oh no, it was not. Oh, what happened? I heard a noise. DM Mulroy, thanks for the follow and thanks for showing up. I definitely need to turn my audio feedback off. Give me a second. I don't think I can bear listening to myself. Or I can just turn down the volume. That works. But now I don't hear the music. I would much rather have the music. Turn the monitor off. Perfect. What's up, yo yo? How's it going? What have you guys been up to? Don't know how folks stream with monitoring on for their mic. I know some people do that. It's probably just like an acquired skill. Like it takes a while to get kind of used to. What was I doing? Oh, like that. Now I can switch to this. Cool. Why did my music stop? Oh, it's not enabled here. Oh, I had it disabled on every, nice. Every scene. Canva. Oops, not that. Canva. Anthony, how's it going? Long time no see. I need one of these. I pretty much just need, like, make a copy. And just deleting everything. Maybe we can slightly unblur this. How was the space? Terrible. Nothing. No one showed up. You just ignore your blabbering like everyone else does. Yeah, I cannot do that. Yeah, the space. Nope, it didn't really go anywhere. Okay. Or I just leave it as it was. This is fine. Yeah, I think, I don't know what happened. Like 3 people joined in the beginning and then I somewhat disconnected because I was going downstairs and the stairs were, I don't know what the problem was with the connection there. And after that I just never heard anyone and everyone left and no one else joined. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'll just listen to songs instead. Yeah. You didn't invite, yeah. I didn't invite you to the space, yeah, that's true. I should have done that. Okay, so this is gonna be the background now. Alright. Shut up, McAfee. Get out of here. Alright. Change this to that. We can make this full screen. Perfect. Is that also changed here? Almost. There we go. Wow, what was that lag? Is anyone else seeing this lag in my camera? Yeah, good old Canva. So I have my... Is it still happening? Like, how long has it been happening for? Huh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Damn, that's pretty bad. What do I do about that? Let me... Also... it's fine. Let me check what's up with my camera. Maybe it's just that my PC is under too much load and I don't have a GPU. My phone is not hot yet. That's a good thing. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's much better. Right? At least on OBS, it's much better for me. Oh, did it get bad again? I wonder if that's gonna show up in the recording. It's fine. I'll record like this, and if it ends up being a problem, I don't know what I'll do. That sounds like a plan, right? Okay. Chat set up here. This chat here. Fuck it, do it live. Yeah, exactly. You get the spirit. That's the spirit that we need in the house today. Alright, what do I have here? So I have like 3 different attempts at writing something for this, for the In Defense of Clean Architecture. But since we now have a live audience, we have like 4 people on Twitch and 3 people on YouTube. We have 7 people here. We have 7 brains that think about programming and know about programming. What do you guys know about clean architecture? Why do you guys think it's good? Why do you guys think it's bad? And don't count me as a brain. The question mark is supposed to be for questions that end in no. So it should be, is clean architecture useless? Question mark, question mark, question mark. What did I call it again? Is clean architecture good? I mean, the answer to that question could also be no. I could just end up at the conclusion that clean architecture actually is not good. Sounds like something made up like Scrum. Yeah, exactly. Clean architecture sounds made up. Almost like a parasocial relationship is made up. I feel like I'm pretty low, like only the top of my head. Oh, that's terrible. That was very bad. Clean architecture equals to DDD. No, not at all. Those two are very different things. I don't know if I'm going to cover DDD in this one, but yeah, the two, I shouldn't say the two are very different. There's I would have been worried if those were equivalent. Yeah, they're different, but they complement each other very nicely, which is why you often see people clumping them together. And even the first time I heard of DDD, I was actually like, someone was telling me about clean architecture, but they were saying it's DDD. And later I realized that, oh, what they were actually trying to tell me about was clean architecture, not DDD. That's because, again, they complement each other. Clean architecture says have a domain layer, and DDD tells you how to have a domain layer. So that's how they get combined quite a bit. I hear them mentioned in the same conversation a lot. Exactly, yeah. Because they complement each other very nicely in terms of like trying to manage complexity. And more importantly, stability. Yeah, I should start taking some more notes instead of like trying to write a script. Okay, good conversation. What else? What else? What else do you know? People on YouTube, come on, say something. I know you guys have opinions. You're just too lazy to share them sometimes. Also, go and blow my tweet up, please, so that more people can join. Where did it go? Right here. I posted it earlier, but I'm gonna post it again. Onion architecture is a good practice. Is clean architecture a new thing? It's not. I think clean architecture. Robert Cecil Martin. This is 2017. Wait, no, 2012. So it showed up on the blog in 2012, but I guess the book was published 5 years later. So it's been around for like over a decade now. It goes back for, yeah, of course. Like the specific term clean architecture and the concept surrounding it, that showed up 2000, like, yeah, clean code was 2008. And obviously, like way before that, there's what's it called, like ports and adapters, onion architecture, hexagonal architecture, all of this that has been like brought up, and they all follow similar principles. Clean code is very dogmatic and dated. Fair, sure, yeah. Clean code is like, if you have difficulty coming up with a set of opinions, here's a set of opinions we can follow. That's how I see clean code. Clean architecture is a buzzword that no one seems to have a complete definition of. That's a great point, CodeLabs Pro. And why does it sound like you also have a YouTube channel, CodeLabs Pro? Do you have a YouTube channel? Or are you just a user who happens to have the CodeLabs Pro name? It's mostly a way for Uncle Bob to sell more books. I disagree with that. I think clean architecture has a lot of merit. It's just a lot of people don't know how to use it properly, and a lot of people have trouble trying to describe it or trying to describe how it should be used. I don't think I'm going to do a great job at that, but I'm going to try. You have a YouTube channel. Okay. Can I do CodeLabs Pro? Nice. About Android and Android Jetpack. Nice. I'm going to subscribe, and I'm going to drop a link to this on my Twitch and on my YouTube. Go subscribe. Looks like some fun stuff going on here. A lot of mobile development. Oh, SvelteKit, nice. Gang of Four book has cost this industry so much time, money, and innovation. Yeah, again, I don't know. I mean, sure, it has cost the industry a lot, but it has also helped a lot. Like, I think most tools, patterns that come up in software development have like, there's one section of developers that they benefit quite a bit, and then there's another section of developers that they hurt quite a bit. And I feel like that's true for a lot of stuff. Like microservices is the one that I talk about a lot. Anyone who's known me for a while will know that, or like that was also my original YouTube videos. And I personally think that the microservices is a great pattern that is very much needed. It's almost like a necessary evil, but it has also cost a lot. Like where I worked previously, way before I joined, they had like a project and they spent a lot of time migrating that entire project to microservices. And that was like the absolute worst decision possible for that project. And I think it's suffering because of that decision to this day. I haven't been there in like about a year, so I don't know if they refactored it. I heavily doubt that they did. I'm pretty sure they're sticking to the like horrible, messy microservice hell that they have created for themselves. Yeah, and my time there, like I also didn't know enough about how these things are done, so I couldn't really help fix it. They're running micro front ends, hopefully on a different team. Hopefully, yeah. Thanks for subscribing. No problem. I'm very happy to collab and push up other tech creators around us, especially the ones doing like beginner stuff. Okay, what else? What else do you guys have? We were talking about how old is it. So clean code, clean architecture, two different things. Similar kind of ideas. Like they're both clean in the sense they both have similar goals, which is that how to write code that is that kind of has a consistent set of rules, structures, and like is maintainable over the long term. And usually that's done at the expense of overall complexity. Like it's one of those things where you sacrifice overall complexity in favor of local complexity. But every time you're doing that, you're creating like an abstraction layer, a boundary. And sometimes you'll end up with horrible abstractions that make your job difficult instead of making it easier. All right, let's see. We talked about DDD. Most important question is there clean code, is it dirty code, and where can I find it? My camera's dying again. It probably is. It's probably gonna keep doing that. Does it do it when I like change a tab or something? No. Experience microservice held where each microservice owned by a different team and they never talk to the other microservice teams because of office politics. Honestly, that's kind of like a favorable situation for microservice. Like you should actually do microservices if you want smaller teams that don't talk to each other. Like that's kind of or like rarely talk to each other. That's kind of like an ideal situation for microservices to work. Obviously, you still need like very disciplined architecture to make it actually work. Should microservices include front end? Awesome question. My answer is yes. Most people will disagree. I think microservices and micro front ends can be combined into like just micro apps, I guess, or vertical slice architecture, whatever you want to call it. But I think it should 100% be conflicting answers on these ones. It depends. So it should include front end if it makes sense. A lot of times it's not gonna make sense if it's like purely just like a business backend service or workflow thing that plugs into some other UI maybe, or that's used by some other UI, and the only reason you have it separated out just because you want like a dedicated team to control it, which makes sense. Every function is service, micro everything. Exactly. I think service for me makes sense as long as you can actually use that thing as a public service. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you can use it as a public service, why not just throw a UI in there, right? If there's a public API already, might as well let those business experts own the UI. The whole thing comes down to like, if you're splitting on the basis of domain experts or business experts anyways, just also give them the UI. They're the best people to design the UI because they're the experts. They never even talked about the interface, and they keep changing the interfaces. Yes, that is the problem. If you have microservices without strong contracts, you don't have microservices. You have a distributed monolith. Microservice to optimize images or something, yeah. If that doesn't need a UI in your entire application, if that's only used by other UIs, sure, it doesn't need a UI. But again, might as well give it a UI, even then. Because someone somewhere is going to need to just optimize an image at some point. Oops, ran out. So I have been very obsessed with coconut water recently. Like, a little too obsessed. I think I finished 2 huge cartons in like less than 2 weeks. Okay, so we have clean architecture, onion architecture, hexagonal architecture. Flame is going to mix microservices. What do you think? Coconut influence. Yeah, if anything, I'm going to. Honestly, I would love if like I can like get Vita Coco to sponsor me or something. That would be awesome. I would literally buy like a carton every week or something, and like have it here in the frame. Let's talk about amazing HTMXs. No thanks. No HTMX in this stream. We are JavaScript nerds here, unfortunately. Is HTMX hype cycle over yet? It's not. It's quite the opposite. Dan Abramov has gotten into the HTMX hype cycle. So, HTMX CEO in chat. Yeah, there's way too many HTMX CEOs. I'm sorry. By the way, yes, Code Labs. If you want to talk about how amazing HTMX is, there's people here in Twitch chat that will very happily do that with you. So, it's a type of clean code. No, HTMX is just a library. It doesn't have anything to do with clean code. Ports and adapters. So a bunch of stuff came up in this conversation that was kind of related. So all of these, they have like a lot of overlap with clean architecture, if not like they're I would say like they're just subsets of clean architecture. Like clean architecture has, if a clean architecture is like 10 commandments, ports and adapters is like 5 of those 10 commandments. And onion architecture is maybe like 8 of those 10 commandments. So that's kind of the relationship between all of these. Stuff like DDD or event-driven architecture. Well, EDA not really actually. DDD really complements it. Oh, you're saying that because you're a dev at Clerk? No, what does Clerk have to do with HTML? Or sorry, HTMX? I'm not sure I get that. I'm saying that because I write JavaScript code, and HTMX is like pretty much the antithesis of that. HTMX is like when you're writing some other programming language and you don't want to write JavaScript, and you still want to do that as much as you can. But if I'm already writing JavaScript, then HTMX is like the exact opposite of what I want. HTMX is written JavaScript, don't tell anyone. Yeah, that's fair. I know that. Does Clerk want to sponsor my channel? Maybe. Shoot me a Twitter DM. Clerk's pretty heavy into Next, so you could argue Clerk DevRel wouldn't be into HTMX. I'm into Solid.js. I'm into Solid a lot more than I'm into Next. So, and I'm the Clerk DevRel. Clerk has nothing to do with Solid.js. So yes, you're right that you could argue that. Yeah, that's the cynical tech, yeah. HTMX is what HTML should have been. Yeah, I agree. It's not though. If HTML was HTMX, actually, I would have been a very different conversation that we would be having. But the whole point is that HTML is not HTMX. So it's overhead. DDD came up in this CQRS, I guess. None of that really matters. DDD is really the big one that complements clean architecture. Damn, how did I end up talking about HTMX anyways? Okay. Stop, no, don't talk about HTMX, challenge. I'm giving myself that challenge. Let's see how well I can go through this. I should have some sort of like rewards or punishments in chat. Like, hey, if I bring up HTMX, I should have, or I have to do this. Anyways, JavaScript framework fatigue is pure hell. I agree. You have to port clerk to HTMX. No. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. I don't know, every time I feel like there's some sort of illusion that's keeps, yeah, never mind. Okay, what do I have in here? So I have like context and origin. How should I do this video? Okay, let me do this. We have all like, I get tired of new JS frameworks. So yeah, we talked a little bit about clean architecture, and all of you seem to be kind of either not. So here's what I got from chat. People are either not familiar with clean architecture, or conflated with conflated with other things that it has overlap with, but is not the same thing as. Or maybe you know what clean architecture is, but you don't like it for some reason, and you think it's harm to the industry. If I want to make a video called In Defense of Clean Architecture, what should I be defending? What would you think would be a good defense? What are some anti-clean architecture arguments that I need to address in this video? Shoot. It's like pro-choice or pro-life. No one's gonna say they're for dirty architecture. So pro-choice or pro-life, which one is clean architecture? And which one is the, like, how is clean architecture like pro-choice or pro-life? Which one does it go to? That it's another waste of time. Okay. That doesn't tell me much. Like, how do I address it? That's another waste of time. Is there something more specific or technical that you can give me, Chizzy? You don't believe that though? Okay. So what do you believe then? Give me like a real concern that you have about clean architecture so that I can incorporate that into my video. Clean architecture should have a practical example. Okay. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? Because there's like templates and samples of clean architecture out there. So are you saying that those templates and samples are not practical? And if that's so, what would you count as a practical example? What should it show? They both frame it as an obvious choice. No one is anti-life or anti-choice. Okay, so clean architecture frames it as the obvious choice because no one's gonna be for dirty architecture. Clean architecture is too ambiguous. That makes sense. But again, in ambiguous how? Like, I need more specifics. I am the binary guy, first time chat. Thank you for showing up. I think VSA is the middle ground most teams should go to. I 100% agree. That's gonna be my conclusion in this video as well. That stop trying to do clean architecture. Instead, just follow the vertical slices principles and like introduce clean architecture very slowly, very eventually, and only where it makes sense. So yeah, VSA should certainly be the default I don't even think that's a good middle ground. I think VSA is just like the extreme other end, where you have like it's all duplication and no sharing, no abstraction. Can you define VSA vertical slice architecture? How do I define VSA? So let me find vertical slice architecture. So here's kind of the Jimmy Bogart is the guy who basically like popularized and evangelized vertical slice architecture quite heavily. And the idea is that a slice is like a complete set of a complete feature that incorporates all the technical concerns. And instead of separating your code in these layers, like a UI application domain database, you just have slices. Because if you do this layered approach, what we end up doing is, how is this not full stack? It is full stack, correct. So full stack makes it easier to do vertical slices. The problem is, even with full stack, people keep separating into these 4 layers. Like even in a Next.js project, or like a Redwood project, you'll see like the back end and the front end separate from each other, right? It's kind of silly, but I'm on board. Yeah, so the idea is like you always just architect in these slices, and initially you just put all the code in the slices. So you shouldn't have these layers at all. So 2 different slices or 2 different use cases, 2 different features have like they at least initially they should have like duplication. And it's fine to have duplication, because the only way you're going to know if you should abstract something is once you've run into it like 3 or 4 times. So keep writing vertical slices independent from each other, and then find little duplications and abstract them. I'm the binary guy. Thanks for the follow. Solid principles are very specific. Which layer should the business logic implementation be in? The domain layer? So you say solid JS principles are very specific, but clean architecture is too ambiguous. I'm not sure how, because I feel the quite opposite. I feel like solid principles are a lot more ambiguous, whereas clean architecture is a lot more well-defined. Clean architecture has a lot of... Totally disagree, solid is specific. Yeah, exactly. Solid, in fact, the solid principles, not solid JS, can be misinterpreted, or like it feels a lot more ambiguous. But clean architecture has a lot more rules, and again, like rules, I don't even want to call it rules, because it's like the ultimate the ultimate manifestation of these are guidelines, not rules. Like these are guidelines with very specific trade-offs attached to them. And if you apply a guideline without understanding the trade-offs, obviously you're going to have a hard time. So I think the ambiguity just comes from maybe either not knowing. You're wrong. Skill issue. Which layer should the business logic implementation be in? The domain layer. So in the domain layer or the application layer, and there is a very specific way to know what belongs in the application layer versus domain layer is I think it's that, like, if that rule kind of like only has something to do with the application you're building, or if it's something generalized to your enterprise, to the domain that you're operating in. It's weird. I don't want to get into it too much. One of the big problems with big software is that every new engineer tries to create another layer of abstraction. Then why ask new abstraction is not documented? Yes, I fully agree with that. And that's a big reason why vertical slice architecture is pretty nice, because the whole point of VSA is don't abstract anything until you're completely sure that they say, then read the blog post on clean architecture. They read a blog. Right. Sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, the whole point of VSA is like only abstract something once you see it being repeated multiple times. until then, keep every feature completely independent of each other. And I'm gonna go over some of that in this video, hopefully. So VSA needs to be brought up. Yeah, Nate, thanks for joining. Zero context, I got here and did what told me to do it. Oh, okay, got it. So that's where the you're wrong comes from. Got it. So okay, I was actually asking this exact question to chat. Why am I wrong? So I'm making this video called In Defense of Clean Architecture, obviously. So I want all of you to tell me what I should be defending. What are your concerns or arguments against clean architecture? Something specific and technical that that you can tell me so that I can address it in this video. Use cases implemented. Well, it was a great idea that would make things maintainable. Yep. Defend that Outcast invented in 2000. What is that? So fresh. So fresh. What does it have to do with clean architecture? Is it because it's so fresh? Oh, so fresh, so clean. It didn't give me the whole URL. There we go. Oh, I need to... Give me a second. Where is... That's my full cam. If my definition of clean architecture is VSA, then I'm on board with clean architecture. It's absolutely not. Clean architecture is the opposite of VSA. Probably because your opinion is much better than mine. That's fair. But I still want some content for my video. Oh, I should probably make sure that it's on this window. Okay, cool. All right. What's VSA? Vertical Slice Architecture. Here. The invention of clean architecture. Oh, okay. That's this. Yeah, that makes sense. Pretty nice. Just so fresh. What other song have I listened to that uses like so fresh, so clean? Oh, it's a 50 Cent song. Yeah. Anyways. Come on, Nate. I know you have something useful to say. VSA with principles from other arcs sprinkled in. VSA, yep. Exactly. Yes, you're getting the exact point. I would say VSA with... So I don't think those are two separate things. Like VSA from kind of inherently says... like VSA is not actually an... Like, how do I put it? If you're talking about like base VSA, base vertical slice architecture, it basically says write vertical slices and bring principles from whatever other architectures you have to fix them, to like build your abstractions, to discover your abstractions. And like that's the same thing as the first one. So VSA never says that only have VSA and never bring anything else in. Independent app which can inherit any architecture. Exactly, yes. That's what I want to get to with this video, is that VSA is good, it's the good baseline, but then once you have complexity creeping in, once you want things to be maintainable, once you want things to be more reliable, testable, then slowly understanding what clean architecture wants to achieve, how to achieve it, and then using its principles in those small areas of your app where you want things to be more reliable is the best way to use clean architecture. You'll do a response video in defense of VSA. That'll be amazing. Let's do that. Clean architecture I see is related to infra concern, slice equals module. Clean architecture is not an infra concern. It's like an overall code concern. But you're hitting on something interesting, because the difference between what your application is and what's the infrastructure that supports your application is something that clean architecture kind of really neatly defines. And like, at least for me, that clean architecture has been a good source of what do I consider infrastructure, what do I consider application. VSA's modular architecture is modular composed of clean layers. So yes, VSA is modular architecture, yes. Each module is composed of clean layers? Not necessarily. What each vertical slice looks like internally is not a concern of VSA. All VSA says is keep these slices independent of each other. Don't let them depend on each other. So basically, like, each slice is kind of like an entry point to the application. And if you have your code like that, like, your scope of debugging or failures, it's vastly reduced to like this one slice and whatever is imported in this slice. So not having the cross references. And then once you have those slices independent of each other, if you want them to share some code, that's fine. But then that code should live in like a completely different area. I think with things like especially with full stack stuff like Next.js, it's been really encouraging more people to like do VSA. When backends and frontends were basically forced to be kept separate, that was a big problem. Doing VSA nicely in like full stack JavaScript was a big pain, but that's gotten much better. And especially with React Server components, it's gotten even better. Premature modularization optimization, hell, exactly. Yeah, you know where we're getting to. Each slice is an independent app which can inherit any architecture. Okay. So I'm still not hearing like, I guess I started talking about my solution, so I'm not hearing any more issues. I still want to know, like, I'll just get to it. When I say VSA, I mean VSA with CQRS. Yeah, again, like, see, if you VSA with something, that's just VSA. Like, VSA doesn't say that you cannot bring external things. So yeah, VSA with CQRS, that's pretty good. You can do VSA with or without CQRS. Have you used a Mediator? Yeah, Mediator is amazing. Things like Mediator are like, these are libraries that want me to like switch over to .NET and like ditch JavaScript forever. I obviously cannot do that, but I wish I could. Module is aggregate in DDD terms? Not necessarily. VSA again doesn't say that bring in domain-driven design or use that. You modularize based on use cases, not on like aggregate in DDD is a consistency boundary. A vertical slice in VSA is a use case. So that's how those two are different. They could be the same in your app depending on how you choose to like carve stuff, but usually like those two are kind of kept separate. Like a use case might touch multiple aggregates. Okay, what next? How do I want to start this? Like that. I like this first script that I came up with. Okay, I'm gonna like open this like that. Use case driven design is an idea that should have been developed 20 years back. It was. That's also called behavior driven design or test driven design. In defense of clean architecture. Okay. So I opened both of these because I want this script right here and I want to create an outline based on this. Okay. One of the most heavily misunderstood concepts, dogmatic or skeptical. Gotta attend a wedding. Oh, sure. Only reason I use JSTS for projects and to end type safety .NET for work is so much better. Yeah. I wished that Blazor would be in a better place that I can just switch to .NET and still build like nice web apps. But Blazor is not in that situation, unfortunately. But yeah, have a nice wedding. Eat lots of food. And I hope there's an open bar. But yeah, use case driven design was developed 20 years ago. It was called test driven design, but people like just heavily semantic diffusion, things that usually happens to stuff like serverless, microservices, Jamstack. Same thing happened with like test driven design, where it was basically trying to teach us use case driven design, what you're talking about, but people really like took it in a whole different meaning. People started to conflate it with unit testing for some reason. Dogmatic or skeptical. And what else? It's not an all or nothing deal. It's a menu. Highly maintainable in the long term. Highly flexible and maintainable in the long term. Each overall complexity increases, local complexity decreases. Cool. I just want to quickly check what's happening on Twitter. Yeah. Okay, what else? Short-term agility versus long-term maintainability. I'll just go to highly maintainable. Flexible is not that important. I think that counts. That just goes under maintainable. Spectrum. Find the dirty bits. Highly experienced. I'm gonna put this. Yeah, highly experienced versus blog post about clean architecture and Android. Yeah, I could check it out, but I already know what it's going to say, and I already know I'm going to hate it. Again, I know I'm defending clean architecture, but like I hate how most blog posts or most resources talk about clean architecture. Like I like the ideas underneath. I don't like how a lot of people talk about it. And how a lot of people follow it or like use it. But there are some really nice ideas in there. Highly experienced versus not super. I'll say not super experienced in refactoring code. Separation of concerns, flow of dependencies, infra, application, domain. You know what I should be doing is in Eraser so that I could have diagrams of all of this. I need to upgrade my plan. Let's just use one of these. Go with that. Okay, ignore everything you just saw. Okay. Let's write all of this down so that we can start maybe diagramming this. I mean, we could continue writing in this one, honestly, and have that open. Okay. So where was I? Divides into 3 layers, separated by cohesiveness. I don't think they're separated by cohesiveness. By their technical purpose. What's knowledge? Application layer, infrastructure layer, and then the dependency flow. Sacredness of code. Okay. Subset of these patterns, I guess. Three layers, okay. And then here I mentioned vertical slice architecture, VSA. And then I bring up serverless Presso. Go from order, please. Okay, cool. If I went all out, I can go through the entire progression. Okay, how do I want to close it out after this? Serverless Presso. I guess once I'm done with all of this, I'll think of how I'm gonna end it. Alright. Can get rid of that. Okay, what do I want to draw? Do I want to draw everything? Do I want to have just like everything on the screen? Plain architecture is like a whiteboard video. Should I do that? Probably not. Dogmatic or skeptical, all or nothing, it's a menu. So things like these are what I want to draw. Okay, I'll just start there. It's not an all or nothing deal. So maybe I want like a switch. Can make this red and make this white. Let's make it blue. Or not blue. I can. Black is fine. Can put you here and make this green. So this is clean, dirty architecture. Clean architecture. Can make these slightly bigger. Like that. Both of these, that's fine. Okay, so we got our, it's not an all or nothing deal. It's a menu. So I want to show a menu now. Maybe gray. By the way, CodeLabs Pro, if you sent a link, YouTube chat is going to ignore that link. So there's no link here. I think you said check out this blog post about clean architecture. I think you sent a link after this, but all the links are ignored in YouTube chat. So if you want to send me a link, either do that on like DM me on Twitter or hop over to my Twitch. As long as one doesn't need to peel onions for clean architecture. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Can I not unround it? It has to be rounded. There should be a way to like make it not round. I think all of these are round. Okay, that's fine. No sharp objects in here. Blah, blah, blah. Add a few more. DM on X, okay. Cool. Does that look like a menu? Kind of. You know what I should have done? Something like that. Okay, let's go with that. It's much more of a menu now, I think. And I'm going to call this clean architecture. You don't need to be that big. Cool. So it's a menu. We can pick and choose like that. Code Labs Pro. If you DM me on Twitter, let me know so that, and if you want me to like pull it up on stream by any chance. All right. So all or nothing D. That's a menu. Highly maintainable in the long term. Overall complexity increases. Local complexity decreases. Okay. So I want like trash. I think I had graphics for this somewhere else. Let's clean code. Images. I want this circle. Oh, there we go. That's good. Although it's white on the background. Can I get a... I guess I'll just have to use bg.remove. Oh, remove.bg, sorry, not bg.remove. Thank you very much. All right. Let's copy this in here. There we go. And now I want dirty code. Oh, wow. What did I... That's not what I wanted. I want trash... You know what? Nope. I'm just not going to Google anything like that. Send DM. Okay, cool. Yeah, probably not. I don't want to torture myself reading another clean architecture guide. Cannot believe that that's in my search history now. All right, what? I just need like trash bin art. Trash bin. Trash. That's it. Okay, that works. Still want art. What will trash art give? Nope. Icon. It's also not quite what I want, but I'll go with this for now. Something like this. There we go. Okay, so we got clean code and we got trash code. All I want to do here, make a spectrum, because everything is a spectrum, according to yours truly. Can I give it a... I don't think I can give it a gradient. Yeah, I cannot give it a gradient. I'll just go with a regular plain black. I can make it into a gradient like manually maybe. So like I've red here, and then go orange, give it a little yellow, and then finally go to green. How's the spectrum? Oh, whoops, never mind. I don't want that. Can move all of this in here. Let's group them and we can center it. How's my spectrum, guys? Why does it look broken sometimes? I want to tweet this. Code Labs Pro, what's up? Welcome to Twitch. Welcome to the Twitch chat. Oh, not that. Okay. Can I tweet this out? What's happening here? Oh, thanks. I'm going to follow you here as well. Okay. What should the caption be? Everything is a spectrum. I'll go with that for now. Cool. What's next? So we got the spectrum. I want overall complexity, local complexity. Okay. So we have overall complexity. We can make that piece of art into an NFT. Please no. Overall complexity. Local complexity. What else? Agility. Maintainability. Let's make all of these right align so that you can align them with this. Perfect. And now we can have, how do I want to do this? Why is that being copied without the... Oh, I guess that's an ordering thing. Anyways. Or maybe I wanna just use the arrows. Can I make it thick? I can make it red. It kind of works. How come I'm not into Python? Because I like making web apps. I like making UIs. I don't know why, but I guess that's how I started and I'm still doing that. Okay. So overall complexity pretty low. Let's move, oh, agility, maintainability low. And then I want reverse versions, but in green. So agility is pretty high. That's why I need to get into HTMX. No, not really. Why would I want to downgrade? I want to learn how to build better apps, not worse. Okay, now we can keep all of this here and move all of this here. Could probably just do it like here. That's fine. Okay, the order is switched. See, I know Python and HTMX will certainly be. It's very appealing, at the minimum. Like, I very much like the idea of not writing JavaScript, if I'm to be honest. I just don't think realistically that's gonna happen. Like, everything that we can write in JavaScript will be written in JavaScript. Dan Abramov can get into HTMX, and I'm sure you will too. Again, I'm not saying that I don't like HTMX. I like HTMX, and I wished I would be in a position where I could use like Python plus HTMX, and that was great, and that would be everything. It's just that a lot of things are just straight up not. I know it's pure bliss. It's just like that the things that I want to build are not possible with HTMX. Like, HTMX doesn't do everything. It does a lot of stuff, which is great. It doesn't do the things that I want it to do, or that I want to do in an application. Why are these two not right aligned? Do I have to do them individually? I guess I do. Okay. I guess I'd right align the boxes, not the text itself. That makes sense. I could, or move these to the left instead of the right. No, this is better. That's fine. Okay. You can target any DOM element and it just works. I know. Tell me something I don't know. Cool. So we got our spectrum and trade-offs. Oops. Find the dirty bits. Okay. So vertical slices. So this was just about the menu. So you pick certain things from the menu, apply them in certain places. How do I want to show that? If I have like a code base, I want to try to visualize some way to, here's your code base. Most of it is fine. There are some parts that are getting messy, or that would need that could be cleaned up a bit, but how do we do it? I guess I do another, like, I just take purple and make a mess. That went out. How are my drawing skills? Oops. Get out. Oh, visual mode. I need to disable Vimium on this page. Vimium, exclude Vimium keys on this page. Thank you. Save changes. Supposed to be coding and yet I'm procrastinating watching this Twitch stream. Can someone explain why? No. No one can explain why you are procrastinating. That's helpful. Hey, I'm procrastinating by streaming. I'm doing, if you're just, am I drawing spaghetti? Yes, I'm drawing spaghetti code. So this is what I'm trying to visualize, is that sometimes code bases just look like spaghetti. And, I want to get to like, sometimes code bases get to spaghetti and that's fine. As long as like it's, I don't know, it's usually not fine. I don't want to say that spaghetti code bases are fine. I guess I also don't want to show like an entirely spaghetti code base. I want to show spaghetti in some places and then fixing those places with refactoring. So I guess what I do want instead, if I get, oops. Let's get rid of all of it. What's the music in the background? It's, I'll have to find it. It should be on, it's It's on YouTube somewhere. I have no fucking clue what it was. I downloaded it like a while ago, and I don't know how to like look for how to find it on YouTube anymore. It's probably on my desktop somewhere, but I'll check at some point. So okay, maybe the code base is fine. So it's not quite spaghetti yet. It's just squiggles. Right. But there are some places where it's getting tangled up. Have giant volumes of dumpster fire spaghetti code and technical debt and no one cares to fix. Agreed. Maybe I'll make this worse. Okay, so here's kind of my weird narrative. Gonna remove that, gonna remove that, gonna remove that. Okay. I'm gonna keep that, and I'm just going to make another copy of this. I'm gonna stack them vertically and group this as well. Cool. I wanna get rid of one of these. That. Cool. Why does the Twitch profile image seem familiar? It feels like seeing a profile come up in the X algo. Yeah, you probably have. There. Ooh, thanks. Thank you, Code Labs. Okay, so fine code base. Initially, things started getting dirty. Things started getting dirtier. I should add one more here so that it's different enough from the first one. Maybe another orange bit right here. And let's add a bit more red while we are here already. Okay, so crude visualizations of how code bases tend to evolve. So we can, I want to show, oops. Okay, let's clean architecture. What I want to do here, images. Okay, so there's yellow. Do you get to work with Pixel Janitor? Yeah, a decent bit. Derek usually he's doing like mostly UI stuff, but there is quite a bit because like when we're coming up with content, like I have to do a bunch of images, and I like to diagram quite a lot. Like I come up with crude drawings like these, and then Derek fixes them and makes them much better. Let me actually show. So how do you know Derek? Pixel Janitor. Where did I? Amount of craft in your work in your team is amazing. I 100% agree. Visuals. Oh yeah. I also get to work with James. I don't think I have a good. Let me see. Might have it in here. Leadership at Clerks that allows for this attention to craft exist. I'm honestly not sure. Just good leadership, which is not that rare to find. But apart from good leadership, it's also like a pretty good product, which has like there's kind of like a feedback loop of. Never mind. There are pretty good products with horrible leadership, so I don't want to say that. Let me show you what these used to look like. Where are they? Should be in here, right? What are these? Webhooks. Where are you? Not in here. That was Luke. That wasn't them. Anyways, yeah, they like these visuals like these are what I draw in Eraser, like these shitty visuals, and then design team like Derek and James, they convert those into these beautiful graphics that you would see on our blog. Okay. Green, blue. There's some blue in here. So I want to have some blue touches. Or we can ignore the blue and go with some yellow. Like that. Okay, so this is my example of a spaghetti mess. Now we're going to refactor this using clean architecture, which obviously means I'm going to use this as a reference. Just take a both. Get rid of all of this here. And what was the... Okay. I'm going to... Oh, this is one thing. Okay, sure, I guess that's not changing. You're going out. And now I want this to be a neat little circle. Maybe a spiraled. And then it was red in and then yellow. And then yellow. Cool, let's do same thing here. Or here first. I guess I will go end up getting rid of this. And yellow. And I still have this green. Nope. There's this as well. I'll just add another one here like that. Nope. Okay, kind of like that. Why Vercel Linear Craft Stripe have such good focus on design craft? I'm low-key jealous that you get to work on crazy good folks. Love it. Yeah, Vercel Linear Craft Stripe. I wonder what's the common thing in between all of them. It's venture capitals. No joke though, yeah. Well, VCs can be like either a superpower or an absolute mess. I think if like these companies, if they end up doing good things, it's probably because VCs trusted them. And if they end up like sinking and doing nothing, it's probably because the VCs did not trust them. Only downside cleaning up architecture at the organization is that everything starts working so well that they fire the engineering team because everything is working beautifully after the refactor. Yeah, that never happens. That absolutely never happens. Okay, I think this is a good representation. What do the swingles mean again? So I'm doing my clean architecture video finally, which I've been talking about doing for maybe a year. Definitely definitely been many months. I know I commented under your clean architecture video that I want to do one, but like even before that I was talking about this on Twitter. But yeah, I was showing kind of like an evolution of a code base where like you might start with like a code base that is not quite spaghetti. It's a little messy, but it's fine. You kind of like, you can wrap your head around all of it. You can like kind of debug it. You can see where the threads are. And then it could get messy where you have like additional concerns kind of mixed in everywhere. And then it gets even more messy. So this like your code getting messy. And then how you use clean architecture is identify those messy bits and then use the kind of principles in clean architecture to refactor them. And you don't have to do it in your entire project. You only do them where it makes sense. So that's the part that I'm using these visualizations for. I'm not recording the video yet. I'm just in preparation for the video. So you haven't really missed much. Thanks for stopping by the way. We have another YouTuber in the chat, WebDev Cody. Codelabs Pro is another one. He makes some videos and I gave him a shout out. but he's on Twitch now. I mean, in my Twitch chat, not in my YouTube chat anymore. Okay. Separation of concerns, flow of dependencies. Where is the... How do I want to talk about this? Happened at X? What happened at X? I guess let's start with something similar to this. Which means I guess we just start with a green rectangle. We didn't actually start with much of that. But I want... where is it? I'll just... Elon Musk laid off engineering. Oh yeah, a while ago. I don't think he laid off engineering because they were great at the refactor. I think Twitter codebase still absolutely fucking sucks. He didn't lay off engineers because they made a great architecture and they were not needed anymore. He laid off engineers because he didn't have a way to pay those engineers. Those are two very different things. Okay, how do I talk about separation of concerns? Oh no, I know. This one. That's what I need. I think. Okay, so I need green here. I need green here. And then I need red, which is my use case. I have... I guess use case also talks to a domain. Nope, let's do it instead like this. So we have sausages, and then I have red, and then yellow. That's that doesn't look great. That looks horrible. How many people on YouTube? 6 people on YouTube. It's Mom Spaghetti. Alright, there's like 6 or 7 people on YouTube, but 1 like. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. What are you looking at? Great time to join, Daniel. What an amazing time to join. Looking at this and this. And think of it as mitochondria. Yes, that's exactly what in the domain layer or the entities layer is supposed to be. That's the mitochondria. That's the powerhouse of the software. Or is it the infrastructure layer? I don't fucking know. Okay. I'm trying to get the point of like this dependency flow of like outwards to inwards. That's like a key important piece of clean architecture. Um, I was the one that hit like. Yeah, I imagine. Thank you, Code Labs. No other people on YouTube are not being as what should I say? Helpful. Okay, so this is what the dependency flow looks like, or like this is what clean architecture looks like. If I want to show how I'm approaching clean architecture. Yeah, instead of these, let's just make circles. I want to fill them. Watercolor? Meh. Plain is fine. The application layer would be the nucleus. That's what's controlling everything. Or would that be the entities? Maybe. I don't know. Oh, okay. You're saying hi. Controller? This Texas is too big. Okay. Repo. Let's just call it infra. I don't even want to call it anything. I want these to be like just blobs. How do I get rid of the border? Okay, that works. How design patterns relates to clean architecture? How design patterns relate to clean architectures? They don't really. Clean architecture doesn't come with design patterns. That's kind of like DDD's job. Or clean architecture says use whatever design patterns. Like it doesn't recommend any. Model the construction and passing down of dependencies. Kind of. Like I have a bunch of green stuff here. And then maybe I have some red stuff here. Why did the border come back? I'm sorry. Why are you so annoying? Thank you. Please don't come back. And then you have yellow stuff, right? And we can keep them separated, maybe like that. And now they look like eggs instead of squiggles. But the idea is that kind of looks like that. I just want a straight arrow, man. I don't need this. Can I not move it? Wow. For instance, most people love MVVM. At least mobile developers love MVVM. So maybe if you talked about how design patterns like MVVM connect to clean architecture. They don't. Green is infrared. Use cases, yellow domain models. Yeah, right here. Choice of design pattern inform the architecture? No, they're two different things. Okay, wait. No, they're not different things. Architecture is... So an architecture is like a collection, a set of either opinions or principles or patterns, things like that. Usually it's principles and opinions. Usually it's not patterns. Patterns are like how you implement a certain opinion. Like if you want two things to be decoupled, you would pick like some sort of a design pattern to do that. Depending on how we want them to be decoupled, how you want them to be used, what does the API, what does the interface look like. A design pattern is like a specific implementation of an opinion. And architectures are just opinions. They're not like, use this architecture. Like here, what clean architecture tells us is abstract the data access from the business logic. That's what clean architecture says. a repository pattern, which is a design pattern, is one implementation of how you would abstract business logic from data access. So now clean architecture doesn't say that use repository pattern, but a lot of people who are trying to do clean architecture are going to be using repository pattern. Does that kind of make sense? So I guess, yeah, in that sense, there are design patterns that connect to clean architecture in the sense that they align, but they just align. Yeah, they align with clean architecture. They don't connect with clean architecture. That's how I would put it. Because again, it's all about the principles, the kind of guidelines under what the architecture is, or under what a pattern is. Every pattern has some guidelines or some rules, and every architecture has some rules and guidelines. So it's all about how aligned are those. And if they're not aligned, how are you managing the mismatch or the impedance mismatch? So this is the dependency flow that kind of clean architecture prescribes or recommends. I want to talk about doing this. The ultimate sin. Certain patterns that align with clean architecture that's useful for an engineer to know. Yeah, I don't want to rely on the patterns too much. The problem with talking about a year back, I have completed the side kinematic separation. Yeah, exactly. Same. And yeah, back to certain patterns that align with clean architecture. I could talk about them, but this video, I don't want to do that in this video, because the idea is very much stop thinking in terms of patterns and start thinking in terms of the principles. I think like talking about patterns is where most of the problems come in, honestly. Like again, patterns are a very useful thing, but it's like lead code. Like you talk about patterns with juniors, like you end up having them obsessed with patterns. For some reason Slack is, I actually want to quit Slack. I don't need Slack right now, and I should quit Discord. Cool. Okay, so I got these two things. Should have them slightly brighter. You know what, this looks, that's fine. That's good. Cool. I went down this whole use case domain model separation rabbit hole. It did increase the determinism of my use case layer. It's massive pain in the ass to use. Yeah, that's what right here. I got you. Let me get another bottle of coconut water. It's a spectrum. It's not, I'm starting this video by saying that it's not an on-off switch. Instead, it's a menu. And it sounds like you kind of came to a similar conclusion, that you don't create this entire separation. You just use the principles where they make sense. So it's, instead of using it like this, you use it like this. And yeah, this is what you get at the extreme ends of the spectrum, but there's obviously like middle ground. What software do I use for live streaming? OBS, correct. I do use OBS. I got it right next to my Razer window right here. That's my OBS. Okay, yesterday my phone camera died in the middle of streaming, I want to make sure that doesn't happen in the middle of a recording. By the way, am I prepared? Okay, what do I have? Separation of concerns, flow of dependencies. Talk about that here. Subset of these patterns, and then VSA. Do I just end it here? Okay, once I get to this, I'll decide if I want to talk about VSA and serverless Presso. I don't know what omakase is. What is omakase? Should I be looking that up? I'll leave it up to you. Interesting. Let's give this a double click. I'll leave the details up to you. I think VSA is more like, yeah, this is a vertical slice. Yeah, VSA is vertical slice. Yeah, I think this is actually vertical slice architecture, VSA. Clean architecture is not. I leave the details up to you. Depending on what you mean by details. So I think clean architecture is very like detailed and comprehensive in terms of the principles that it recommends. But I leave it up to you in terms of how you apply those in your code base. It's same with clean code. Again, like people read the clean code book and start using it like every single place in their project. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that Uncle Bob talks about that everyone just conveniently skips over because they love shitting on Uncle Bob is the Boy Scout rule, is that you go into a place, you find it dirty, you clean it up just a little bit, and then you leave. Like you clean places, you leave a place just slightly cleaner than, or just cleaner than you found it. Like that's the kind of the core idea of what all refactoring really. That's the same thing that how he recommends using clean code. It's just that we don't talk about it for some reason. Everyone loves to follow these things very religiously. DHH, yeah, I'm not gonna talk about DHH. I've talked about DHH on the stream before. I'll just since DHH was brought up, do you like clean architecture, abstraction over abstraction over abstraction? Those are two different questions. I mean, there's one question. Do you like clean architecture? The answer is yes. Abstraction over abstraction over abstraction. If that's how you're describing clean architecture, yeah, that's I guess, yeah, that's kind of the point of clean architecture, but the problem is people don't know how to build abstractions. I don't either, to be honest. I'm not saying that. I'm not standing on a soapbox here. I'm just saying that clean architecture is very useful if we use it like this. Oh, I should probably build an alternative for this. Oops. Maybe go up here. Why did I open Twitter? Oh, DHH. Yeah, I was gonna find a DHH tweet or find a me tweet about DHH. Yeah, right here. I'm just going to leave this in here. There is a more high-res version here. Okay. I want to show using clean architecture from the beginning for everything, and why that might just be impractical. I don't even, honestly, I just, oops. I'll use regular circles for this just because I want to show like this, the messy part, or I want to emphasize on like how clean you might be tempted to make it. And let's make it Excel. Let's make it one giant. They hired interns who read one blog post about clean architecture, decided they're going to clear new abstraction. That's how we get Twitter dumpster for our code base. Correct. Clean architecture, context dependent. Infra tool you choose matters. Laravel lends itself to CA differently. Flask because they start from different abstractions. Interesting. I don't know much about Flask. Actually, I don't know anything about Flask, and I don't know much about Laravel. We have PHP dev in chat. Oh no. Daniel is just a PHP dev now. That's your reputation. Okay, so I believe this was red. Yep. Hi PHP dev. Oops. Oopsie. Come on, I want to shift resize it so that it retains the kind of curvature. Then I want to make yellow. Oops, not like that. From there. The amount of time I'm spending making this little like stupid visual should in itself be like I'm probably going to build this complicated visual faster than a clean architecture code base. Okay, now it looks kind of trippy, right? Is this a good representation of like a clean architecture code base? Obviously, like in its proper form, not in a usual form. PHP does don't need architecture. All apps have to have some level of architecture. Yeah. What do you think, Daniel? Are your projects? Do your projects look like this? I'm gonna make this final yellow or red instead. What the heck are you drawing? I know J circle as a layer looks like this pain in the ass. Yeah. Honestly, like you can think of each of them as a circle, but like they have their own layers. Like you don't just have one layer of use cases. You have things around them. You have your use case, then you have your interfaces for like the input and output, and then the repositories, and then you have the interfaces for your entity layer and like everything. So I also want to show that you don't just have one layer of code in any of those concerns. You have multiple even within. And like for the outermost one, you can think of them onion architecture. Yeah, I guess, yeah, it is closer to onion architecture, but like you can think of the outermost one being like maybe there's one layer of React components, there's one layer of like HTTP endpoints, there's one layer of like for database stuff. Then when you get into the red, you have your use cases, you have your interfaces, you have your services, and then when you get into yellow, you have your domain classes, you have your events, you have your aggregates value objects, whatever. So my request response has to look like this because I don't symbolically hear that thinking. Yeah, exactly. A lot of mine do as well. Okay, let's see if we can. You know what? I kind of like that it produces. Okay. So this is our clean code base. Like maybe you want your code base to look like this. Like this would be such nice to have. You can replace the green with anything else. But code bases like this are honestly like much more realistic and probably much easier to work on. Deterministic as fuck. And it is constructor injecting everything. Yeah. Honestly, I'm excited to see what dependency injection frameworks will look like if like async local storage becomes a thing. Am I a fan of SwellKit? Kind of. I don't know what being a fan means. I don't use SwellKit. I have used SwellKit. SwellKit is not going to be my preferred framework for most of my projects. Yeah. And I like frameworks that give me full stack type safety, and SwellKit just doesn't. SwellKit kind of does, but for a lot of things, it's not as type safe as some other frameworks that I enjoy more. All right, so we got this part. I think we can start recording some of it. Which means this can take up both of these. I'm gonna put you right here or here. All right, I am going to run to the bathroom and also check for my camera if it's out of battery. PRB. I'm back, and I feel like at any point my camera could just topple over because of how it's not that unstable, it's kind of unstable. I definitely need to figure out my setup a lot more. All right, ready to record. Gonna hit start recording in here. How do I want to start this? Okay. Should probably turn down the music a lot. Monitor. Okay. I think the music is not too distracting. How's that? If I keep the music there and I record like this, you can only kind of hear it when I'm not talking. I turn on feedback, which I hate. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Alright, monitor turned off. And now, gonna move you here. Gonna move Twitch chat right here. And YouTube chat goes here. Alright. That's my recording setup. What? Not gonna work? Okay, sure. In defense of clean architecture. Wow, my Chrome is struggling. Maybe I turned that off. I think Notion might be taking up a lot of resources, both Notion and Eraser combined. Strict separation doesn't allow you to leverage the framework's tools, though it's so painful. Yeah, I agree. That's one of the big reasons why I kind of stray away from clean architecture, because like I really like the framework, the tools and abstractions that our frameworks give us. Like, why would I want to wrap the ORM's repository with my own custom repository and then have to implement every single query parameter? I just use the ORM. Okay. I'm going to turn down the music just for myself. Okay, cool. This is okay. This is recording. Let's do this. All right. Put you here. Imagine trying to do CA on the front end, having to manually split React queries functionality into two pieces. Yeah. Clean architecture on the front end doesn't even make a lot of sense, because we don't usually send a lot of like application or business logic to the front end. So it really just ends up being like the place where the front end talks to the back end is the application or the domain layer, which is quite the opposite. This is why I like server components so much, because they make like building vertical slices so much easier. Like, here's a UI paradigm with vertical slices kind of built in. Like, the UI architecture, it's like kind of forces you to, or not forces you, but like really encourages you to build vertical slices, which is great. I want to bring it up in this video. All right. Clean architecture is likely one of the most heavily misunderstood concepts in software development. You can see my hand. Am I blurred? Do I look blurred at all? Kind of. Might need like tap. Not too much. I look kind of blurred. Oh, should I turn this on? Yeah, I should have turned that on. I like the idea of RSC. Just gonna let it all pan out first. Man, you're gonna love RSCs. I already know that. Okay. Clean architecture is likely one of the most heavily misunderstood concepts in software development. People either seem to be super dogmatic about it or incredibly skeptical about it. And as usual, it seems like I have to shine some light on the huge gray area that exists in between, where this concept is actually very useful. So let's chat a bit about what clean architecture is, and more importantly, what it isn't. Okay, good start. Share my screen. I don't like that it's showing everything. I kind of want to do a little bit of this. Or just move up like that. I'm fine with showing that it's an eraser. I want to get rid of the taskbar. Cool. Now I can just zoom in. Okay, let's separate this out. So these are my slides now. This is how I do slides. Okay. If you have time between takes, check the clip you just took. The video feed froze for a second, at least streaming on YouTube. Yeah, I'm using my iPhone for my camera wirelessly. Wireless. It's not connected, like it doesn't have a wire connection, so I think there might be like either network things or slow phone or slow PC. Like it could be a lot of factors that freeze up the video. I should probably just do a new take. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a new take and hope it doesn't happen again. So something like this. Now I have myself in front of me, so if I freeze again, I'll know. Probably gonna still freeze again, but what can I do about it? At this point, at least. Okay, clean architecture is likely one of the most heavily misunderstood concepts in software development. People seem to be either super dogmatic about it or incredibly skeptical about it. And as usual, it seems like I have to shine some light on the huge gray area that exists in between, where this concept is actually very useful. So let's chat a bit about what clean architecture is, and more importantly, what clean architecture isn't. Okay, I think that went better. I'm just gonna like keep any freezes. I don't know. And if it's too much, I'll just re-record at some other point. And if not, I'll just publish it like this at this point. And I'll like redo the video like maybe a year from now. Okay, let's go to this one now. That's perfect. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Because if it freezes right now, like in this part, that's fine because the focus is on the diagrams. Okay, so when we're looking at these architectural patterns, we tend to think of them as these on-off switches, or I do clean architecture, or I'm building microservices, etc. We treat them as like kind of an all or nothing deal, where every single part of our application needs to follow this entire clean architecture template to gain its benefits. This is a big problem. Architecture patterns are not this, you either do them or you don't. It's more like a menu of certain patterns or opinions that have been combined for a very specific reason. It's more like a menu of certain patterns or certain opinions that have been combined for a very specific reason. You don't have to gobble up the entire restaurant menu. You don't have to gobble up the entire restaurant menu just to satisfy your hunger, right? That's crazy. You pick and choose from the menu which ones you want, how much of them do you want, and how much are you going to put on your plate. Maybe part of your application uses some of these patterns and some other parts don't. You pick a couple of these and you apply them. Maybe you pick a couple of these and you apply them everywhere and never touch the others. Okay, let's get, so what I want to do is put this back, bring this up, and basically make maintainability the top reason. Put them in here and cut. Okay. The main idea of clean architecture is building software that is highly maintainable in the long term. Every single opinion that comes under the umbrella of clean architecture is geared towards the singular goal. Oh. Wait, what did I get? I guess I got a YouTube subscription at some point. Got major freezing during that take. Might be a YouTube issue. It just came from Twitch and there was no freezing in that earlier take. Is this a YouTube thing? No, because I'm also seeing the freezing in my OBS. So it's definitely a device thing. I think someone subscribed to my YouTube. So thank you very much for doing that. Where was I? Yeah. The main idea of clean architecture is building software that's highly maintainable. Every single opinion that comes under the umbrella of clean architecture is geared towards that goal. But the trade-off is that at this point I want these back. But the trade-off is that the overall complexity of the system increases quite a bit. It might decrease the local complexity so that it's easier to work on certain parts of the application. Wait, no. I want to talk about... Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so... Wait, I think I have this in the reverse order. This is supposed to be red, and this is supposed to be green. Yeah, this is supposed to be green, this is supposed to be red. Supposed to be green, supposed to be red. Okay. Okay, so geared towards that single goal, and after that we're talking about the what's it called? It's actually nice framing. Yeah, exactly. It's like a local maxima and like overall maxima. Yeah, but the trade-off of that long-term maintainability is that the overall complexity of the system increases. And along with that, the system overall becomes harder to work with. It becomes less agile because now things are separated into clear boundaries. And if you want to cross the boundaries, you have to really care about the contracts that are involved. So, but it increases the maintainability of the system because the local complexity goes down. Because individual things get simpler and easier to work with. They also get more deterministic, more testable, and more reliable, which means maintainable over the long term. However, most of the time when we're building software, long-term maintainability is not really a top priority, or sometimes it's not even a priority at all. For a greenfield project, for a project that's just beginning, agility is probably going to be a lot more important than is this code maintainable over time. Or maybe for your specific, or maybe you're building something that's need to be, or maybe you're building something that needs to be really, really performant, and maintainability is less of a concern than performance, which means you're going to pick architectural patterns that encourage performance over maintainability. In any of those situations though, your code should definitely not look like any of these clean code templates, unless you're building something that literally needs to last. Unless you're building something that is very, very complex and literally needs to last for many years, and you know about that. Your code should, the clean architecture templates are practically useless. Okay, slide time. I need to spread these out. Okay. A lot of times our code base might just end up looking like this. There's not a lot of code. There's a decent bit of code in. Let's imagine this is kind of what your code base looks like. It's not quite spaghetti code. There's not a lot of things overlapping with each other or causing complex entanglements. You can still see the threads separate from each other. So it's easy to wrap your head around, it's easy to debug, but no one would give it a clean architecture stamp. But no one would give it a clean architecture stamp, obviously, because it's kind of, there's no abstractions here. We don't have anything separated into distinct layers. However, over time, this code might get complex. However, over time, as we add more features and, how do we want to say this? However, over time, maybe as you start scaling up, or maybe as you start adding more features, or maybe as things start getting more stable over time, you'll need to keep revisiting the old code that you have written to add enhancements, to fix bugs, or to bring new people onto the code base. And you're probably going to find that some places in your code base are getting messier and more difficult to work with and are causing a lot of unexpected bugs. We all have hit this point in our projects where it's not that the entire project is crap, but there are certain places in the project that people don't like to touch because that's where a lot of the messiness or complexity lives, and we don't want to break it apart, obviously. So here you have two options. And over time, I want to go to this. Okay, now we have to wait for the litter box to stop spinning. How's it going, chat? How's it been going? It's not all a piece of shit. Yep. Hey, sometimes we need some affirmation, okay? Your code is not a piece of shit, don't worry. It's just that little bit over there. Great time for a coconut water break. Still going. The red is the sauce, orange is cheese, green is the noodles. Green is the lettuce. I'm eating healthy food here. When have you ever seen green noodles? I've never seen green noodles. I have no idea where you get green noodles. I would love to try them. They sound very healthy. Okay. 10 more seconds. No, probably a lot more than that. How's the video been so far? How much did you guys learn, if anything? Okay, what do I have next? I have Okay. Not yet. Almost there. Alright, cool, it's done. We can move on. Oh, I just realized I should not have had the music in the recording, because if I'm going to cut it up, the music is also going to cut up. It's not going to be consistent. Oof. I'm just going to turn it off right now, so that for the rest of the recording I don't have that problem. For the beginning part, I'll deal with it. I'll maybe play louder music so it's harder to notice. I don't know. Cool, okay. So we were here, we're talking about it being complex. Okay, and over time, if this is left unchecked, your code is just going to keep getting more complicated. If you don't at some point give those parts attention and refactor them and make them cleaner, yeah, the complexity is just going to grow, and you'll actually end up with what we call spaghetti code. So from here, you have two options. If you're a highly experienced programmer with lots of experience recognizing code smells and refactoring wherever needed, you don't need... Okay. If you're a highly experienced programmer with lots of experience recognizing code smells and refactoring where needed, and follow a more first principled approach for code refactoring, that's great. You don't need any prescribed kind of sets of opinions like clean architecture, and you can just go on your merry way. But if you're not super experienced in writing maintainable and well-designed code, clean architecture is kind of a great starting point. It's a great set of guidelines to follow. Okay, I want to rephrase that. But if you're not super experienced in writing good long-term maintainable and well-designed code, clean architecture is kind of a great starting point. It's not a template that you follow religiously, but as a way to build an understanding of what exactly maintainable code means and what it looks like, and help you build some concepts and frameworks in your head to help you build better software. There are two main foundations of... So, okay, I talked a bit about what clean architecture is, but I also want to make sure I mention how it's going to be applied here. Where is it? There we go. So you might take your messy code and you could start slowly applying some of those clean architecture principles in your code and start building some of those layers, but only in the specific places where it's needed. You can see here that we have taken two of those messy parts and given them a little more structure, added some of that separation of concerns that that clean architecture is all about. But here, this place, we have left it alone. I didn't feel like refactoring that because I think because I think I don't need to, or I just haven't gotten around to it yet, or okay, how do I put this? It's also a consistent pattern everyone on your team knows to follow. Exactly, yeah. I should probably find a way to put that in there. You can see here that we have taken two of those kind of complex and tangled bits from the previous version and given them some separation of concerns and some proper dependency management so that those complex parts are now slightly easier to understand. However, the rest of the code pretty much looks exactly the same. So I did not go and take a clean architecture template and put it all over my code base. It's only the complex and the tangled parts that need to be cleaned up a bit, and clean architecture provides some nice guidelines on how we should approach it. So what are these guidelines? What am I even talking about? the two main foundations of clean architecture are first the separation of concerns, and my fingers are not visible. There are are my fingers visible like this right here? There are two patterns. There are two main foundations of clean architecture. First one is the first one is a prescription on what separation of concerns looks like, and the second is the flow of dependencies between them. Infra application oh no, it's stuck. Why is it stuck to my mouse? Refresh. My god, editing this video is gonna be fun. So much fun. Domain. Okay. Clean architecture divides the application into three distinct layers. Clean architecture divides the application into three distinct layers, at least. The infrastructure, the application, and the domain. These are separated kind of by their technical purpose. The domain layer consists of rules and knowledge that are translated directly from the real world into the programmatic world. These are rules that would exist with or without the application. These are rules that would exist even if the application that you're trying to build did not exist. That's kind of how clean architecture puts it. And then the application layer is responsible for composing the domain rules into use cases that are specific to the application that we're building. They're also called automation rules. And then the infrastructure layer kind of acts as a plugin that bootstraps the application with infrastructure concerns like web servers, databases, message brokers, configuration management, secret management, whatever other infrastructure you need for that application to run. And all of this is underpinned by the dependency flow. Things can only depend on the layer underneath it, or in this diagram to its right. This is done because as you go towards the right in this diagram, the importance or the sacredness of your code increases. It basically means how important is this code to the application and what is it going to be changed by? Is it going to be changed by the business experts or the product managers or the infrastructure people? I'm probably going to cut that out. That did not make a lot of sense. Let me put it this way. It ensures that the infrastructure of your software is as flexible as possible. You can use whatever infrastructure you want to without making a lot of changes to the core of your application, which is the application itself and the domain layer underneath. You can also easily test any part of your application because it's decoupled from the rest of it. So you can test your domain layer and your application rules with completely different infrastructure or completely minimal infrastructure so that your test runs fast. Now, I don't follow a lot of these rules when I'm building apps, again, because long-term maintainability is not really my top priority. My top priority is usually trying to get some features out of the door to test with some users and see if they are good ideas or not. However, after a bunch of different experimentation, I've kind of selected a subset of these patterns that I sometimes apply in my code bases when things start to get messy. And I'm going to show a demo of that very soon. But most of the time, I'm coupling some infrastructure dependencies directly in my application and domain layer. Why? Why am I doing that? Well, because if you would keep all the application, if you would keep all the infrastructure concerns completely separate, you would also need to build a lot of abstract interfaces that go into each layer. And that's just a lot of work. Do I want to go down this rabbit hole? Yeah. How do I want to say this? I don't follow all these rules when I'm building apps because, like I said, long-term maintainability is not a high priority for me. I've already said that part. This is why I should either just decide if I'm going to follow a script or not. Following a script is easier, but the script that I wrote a while ago. Okay, I'll take it from the top, from the subsets part. So I'm using a subset of the pattern. I'm keeping the infrastructure in here because I don't want to build a lot of abstractions or rebuild a lot of abstractions. And then I'm keeping the 3 layers. Okay. I should also nah, it's fine. Now, I don't necessarily follow all of these rules when I'm building apps because, again, long-term maintainability is not always my top concern. So I don't really need to. I should just go on here. Most of the time, I'm fine coupling some infrastructure dependencies directly in my application or my domain layer because rebuilding those abstractions from scratch is actually really painful and it's really easy to get wrong. It's something that you do after a lot of practice and after your application reaches a certain level of complexity, but it's not something that I've found necessary. But you might also notice that I still have the 3 separate layers that clean architecture kind of prescribes, because I think separating into these 3 layers is kind of a low-hanging fruit of maintainability. Anytime that my code starts to get anytime that my code starts to get a little complex, I should start with VSA instead. Okay. So I talked about the 3 layers, but even then, even separating my code out in these 3 layers is not something I do very often. Most often, how do I show it? Okay, I want to show vertical slices now, like that. Although it's all green, we lose the color here. Let's make it blue. Most of the time when I'm building applications, I'm actually following this vertical slice approach that was popularized by Jimmy Bogard. The idea here is to just separate the code in terms of the feature or the business capability that they achieve, not in terms of their technical concern. Which means all the code for my individual use cases is completely separate from each other, and they kind of have like separate entry points. Cut that entry points part out. All the code here is split according to which use case it serves for the end user. That also means that any infrastructure, application, or domain concerns that are necessary for a single feature are combined into the slice or into the code for that feature. And after a certain point, after a certain point of writing code and development, if that code starts to get very messy, or if I see a lot of code being duplicated in those feature slices, then I start thinking about the application and the domain layers, and I start to look at which part of that duplicated code looks like application logic so that I can separate that out and share it between those 2 vertical slices. Okay, no script YOLO it. Yeah, I should do a lot more of that. No script YOLO it. Okay, now do I want to jump into the code, or do I want to just end the video here? How long has it been? I mean, the recording has probably been very, very long, but the video so far, how long would it be? Is it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes? I don't want to end up doing a Jamstack scenario where I'm planning to make a 10-minute video and it ends up being a 40-minute video. That was very surprising to me when it happened to Jamstack, the Jamstack video. I hope it doesn't happen this time. I don't think it has. I've only gone over a little bit. That was probably like 5 or 6 minutes, right? Yeah, I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna leave whatever else for like a next video. How do I conclude this? I can add some bits here. Okay. So I can start saying that like this is, I can start sharing code like this. Check is saying 8 to 10 after editing. Oh, your gut check. Yeah, if it's 8 to 10, then that's great. That's almost perfect. I can make this maybe green, make it small, and add that in here. Yeah, let's do it like that. So once I discover that there's some shared logic in a bunch of my feature slices, I can start to separate that out into which one is application layer and which one is the domain layer, and then I can start to build those separation, but only at those places. I'm still not applying the clean architecture I'm still not applying a clean architecture template onto my entire project. I'm not converting my entire project into domain rules. I'm not converting my entire software. By the way, what were they called? Yeah. Oh, I forgot about this one. I don't need to turn my entire project into something like this, where each of those concerns are very neatly separated from each other. While this looks great, this takes a lot of time to build, and it certainly takes a lot more time to change. So, like I mentioned earlier, this might be a great and very maintainable piece of software, but it's not going to be as easy to change and adapt. So follow vertical slices. Don't really. Okay, how do I wrap it up? Follow vertical slices, don't over abstract, and refactor where needed. It's a weak conclusion. I want a stronger conclusion. Yeah, and that's because clean architecture is not something that you need to just grab and throw over your entire project and follow very religiously. Clean architecture is a set of principles that show. Clean architecture is a set of opinions on how we can separate out code, how we can manage dependencies, and how we can achieve maintainability in the parts of the code where it makes sense. The trickiest part about clean architecture is going through your code base and recognizing what are the places where these principles, what are the places where you should be refactoring things, and how should you be refactoring things. So the next time you look at clean architecture or something about clean architecture, always think in terms of refactoring your existing code to look a little more like the clean architecture template, not exactly like the clean architecture template. And definitely don't think of starting new projects with those clean architecture templates. That's the absolute worst way to start a new project. Okay, how did that go? I won't really know if I have like a good enough video until I like sit through and watch all of it. and try to structure it. Yeah, but I think that went mostly okay. I think at this point I should probably like do another sort of check-in. So people in chat that might have concerns about clean architecture, what I want to hear is, how well did I address the concerns with clean architecture? What are some additional things that I should bring up? Oh, I forgot to talk about the consistency in the team. Where do I inject that in? So I talked about I can just probably do it here somewhere. Can I do it like tack it at the end? Or not. I'm too lazy to do that. Yeah, I'm too lazy to make changes to this now. I'll just take whatever I have, I'll put it together and publish it. I can't really be bothered to like make super high effort YouTube videos at this point. I think I came up with these illustrations that's gonna take all the energy. That's gonna like take up my quota of how much energy I want to put into a YouTube video, because I still have to fucking edit this thing. I did not use a random thing to hold my mic this time, which is a slight disappointment. I might have to edit in like a fork with a lavalier mic. People are gonna be disappointed about that. I still need like a conclusion. Okay. I hope I answered some of those concerns around clean architecture and why I think it's still a really valuable and useful piece of concept that should be in all of our tool belts. That said, there is a much important piece of architecture or piece of concept, which is the vertical slice architecture, and that's the one that I recommend the most at any point in that's the one that I recommend at any point, because vertical slice architecture gives you the agility that you need at the beginning of a project, while also making sure that you have room for refactoring and optimizing and making things cleaner. This is another reason why I'm super excited about React Server Components, because React Server Components make building vertical slice architecture much easier with full stack applications with all of interactivity. Because I can tell you, building applications in a vertical slice manner, building full stack web applications in a vertical slice manner has been one of the biggest challenges that I have faced, especially in the last few years. And I cannot be more excited about a technology that is completely designed to fix that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and check out this video that I made on React Server Components. Just remember, clean architecture is used for refactoring. All right, stop recording. That's gonna be the end of it. Cool, I have 3 viewers. I don't know how many I have on YouTube though. I think I closed my YouTube window. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours, which means I probably have like 2 hours of recording footage. Maybe under 2 hours. Definitely about an hour. Live Okay, what does live look like? 6 viewers on YouTube, damn. But still only 4 likes. 6 viewers and 4 likes is an embarrassing number, embarrassing ratio. Alright, cool, what next? That's really all that I had planned for the stream today. I initially wanted it to be like kind of a serverless Sunday thing, but didn't end up doing a lot of serverless stuff. Just ended up recording a video, which is probably more than what I hope to achieve anyways. I might go live again sometime this week. I probably will. Hopefully I'm streaming slightly more than usual now. I should do this. Get rid of that. Alright, who's on Twitch? Can we raid someone? That's Twitter. You know what? Twitter, sure. Let's browse Twitter for a bit. Anything fun happening on Twitter? I do. The second link is a YouTube live link, LMAO. Nice. Vinci is fun. How much? I want to get a sense of how much this makes sense intuitively. Okay, so there's routers. There's one of those routers is public. It's in the static mode. You know what? I've already know enough about Vinci config that this is gonna make sense to me. So I'm probably not the target audience. I probably am the target audience, but I'm just too lazy. Okay, not much going on. Twitch. Oh, that's Theo. I want to see. Oh, Spiro's live. Perfect. Let's rate Spiro. Spiro, right? No, Spyro. Spiro. How long has he been live for? Why is he live for 9 hours? Ship it. Yep. Thank you for stopping by, Cody. Super appreciate you. Super appreciate it. And let's raid Spiro. And I'm gonna drop the link in YouTube chat. I'm gonna end stream soon, so this is a good stream that you can watch. All right, thank you everyone for showing up. Bye-bye.